Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time. It is Monday, where we usually speak with Rylas. But today you see that we have Rylas and Dion because we are going to talk about cryptocurrencies. We're going to talk about Bitcoin. We're going to talk about crypto. We're going to talk about blockchain. We're going to talk about estate planning, assets, currencies, all of this stuff. Basically, how simple folks can understand the crypto market. In order to get started, let's introduce everybody. Rylas, how are you?
Hi, doing great. Happy to be here. Had so much fun last time with Dion.
Yeah.
Had a great conversation, great discussion.
I really love it when people I respect and like each other really just can debate a topic. I know this time Dion and I are going to disagree on something, so this should be a lot of fun. And Dion, how are you?
Howdy, doing great. Thanks for having me here on a Monday. I know when we talk about crypto, it's really kind of the wild, wild west.
Dude, leave the hat on. It's the wild, wild west. What are you doing?
That's what the hat was for.
Yeah, what are you doing? So Rylas, this was really your idea. I appreciate you giving us this idea. Why don't you kind of lay out your vision for this discussion and then we'll kind of jump in together.
Yeah, so I'll give a little bit of my background. So I really enjoyed the conversation that you and Dion had together talking about crypto. And Dion kind of sharing his background in this space, and one of the things that really kind of like an aha moment, if you will, that interview was how like our generation is working 2D, right?
Yeah,
we're used to 2D, and then the kids in the next generation, this 3D thing is going to be the norm.
Yeah, and
I see it in my kids. I have kids 15. 12 and 10 for better or for worse, that they're in that metaverse.
yeah
They're obsessed with gorilla tag and other things.
Interesting.
So I guess my motivation today to talk about it is I'm really interested in the technology. I'll say, I guess, like I don't know what exactly it is, but I know whatever it is, it's going to be the future. It's going to change our lives. I feel like the blockchain will in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And so I love that thing. We'll get Dion. Dion, you and I had a conversation about, I guess I'll call it the metaverse. I'm not really sure what to call it, but basically you created a side hustle that you actually basically had your kids play video games and you printed money. So why don't you just kind of give your kind of introduction and then I'll go last.
Sure. So, and I failed in that video if you're not sure what to call the metaverse.
Yeah.
But
I do lots of interviews. I don't remember them.
That's okay. When it comes, so if we're talking metaverse and how the internet is kind of evolving into more of a space than a 2D screen that we stare at, that's pretty much what that video was about. When it comes to cryptocurrencies, my problem is people look at it like it's an investment. And it's in the name, cryptocurrency, which it's not used as a currency yet, but the goal is that that's what it eventually becomes. The limitation with Bitcoin, and I got this from Millennial Mike, I actually had to reach out to understand because it's not one that I invest in primarily, was people talk about the bottleneck of cryptocurrencies, and it's that only so many transactions can happen at a time, and it takes about 10 minutes for one to happen now. So you can't do that while you're standing in line at a counter.
Right.
But when it comes to the technology, that's where Rylas nailed it. Blockchain is going to impact the way we invest in many ways going forward. The problem is people do this much research and they go, so what is blockchain? It is a chain of blocks. It's files that are stored chronologically to show transactions that happen that aren't stored on one central location. So it can't be hacked as easy because currently we don't have a worm virus that will infect any chain of blocks that it encounters yet. But the platforms can be hacked. The platform that you store your wallet on, all of those platforms are not as safe as the Bitcoin I do it, as the blockchain technology. So that's kind of my thought on it. I've got a few other points to make, but
yeah. So this is really interesting, and I think Rylas brought up something I wasn't ready for, but it's so valid. I think it's almost generational. Right. He's talking about his kids that are 15 and below. They're sort of in it. I think about my daughter who's now 30, right? So she's in the middle of millennials. She grew up with a phone, right? And I'm, of course, Gen X, and my parents are baby boomers, very much generational. So again, I'm right, clearly Gen X here. When I think about and again, let's be clear. I put 1% of my net worth in crypto November of 2020, I think so. So why did I do that? One is I'm a believer in the technology. I happen to be a real estate investor. I happen to have done hundreds, if not thousands of closings. And I think that whole process of title and escrow and all of that is out of date. And I believe in my lifetime will be replaced with, something like blockchain, whether it's called blockchain or something else, it gets rebranded. Don't care. What is done today in a market that I have lots of experience in is inefficient and costly and slow and this and that. So I was attracted to it because I'm like, I see a use. I do it every other month, right? So I get it. I've also experienced the .com era where all you had to do was slap .com behind a company name and you are worth hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, I sold software to companies that were .com this, .com that had $100 million. They spent it all in a year and were out. So I've seen craziness. So crypto to me, same thing. All these thousands of coins, 90% of them are going to go to zero. Many of them are complete frauds, but there will be an Amazon. There will be a Netflix. There will be a couple of things that are around for my entire lifetime. And I'm not smart enough to figure them out. So I just, I chose a couple of the biggest coins and that's where I put it. And then lastly, kind of Dion, to your point around currency, I did not put 1% of my net worth in a currency. I put 1% of my net worth in an alternative asset. To me, simply said, they're digital gold, right? There are, and specifically on the Bitcoin side, there's a limited supply. At least that's what attracted me to it. And so to me, they're an alternative asset. And lastly, yes, I know you can stake them and do this and do that. They are not cash flow generating things. If I own it, I own it. I don't stake or give my rights to someone else. So that's kind of all it. That's how I came to this and why I put a very small percentage of my net worth. Again, I have enough assets where if 1% of it went away, it wouldn't affect me in iota. I don't know that I do this in 2006 when I'm still growing. But in fairness, I did buy some silver, which was my 1% back then that I ended up selling and buying real estate in 2011. So maybe, I don't know. That's kind of my introduction to this conversation. I'll go back to you, Rylas, and allow you to tweak or give comments.
Yeah, I think I brought up virtual reality because I see those things coming together, in this new form of a web and also new forms of payment. So my reason, I bought just a little bit of cryptocurrency a few years back. I guess I'm interested in the technology. Like I just wanted to get in there and see how it works, do some transactions on the blockchain, see what it's like, see, pay some gas fees, on the Ethereum.
Yep.
I bought some, so I went to an attorney CLE event on the blockchain. And that's where I first heard about this game called
Sorry, what's a CLE? That's an acronym I don't know.
Lawyers have to go to continuing legal education.
Thank you. Sorry. Okay.
So, and one was on the blockchain. And I heard about this game called Crypto Kitties. And it was it's like digital Beanie Babies.
Oh, real? Oh, wow.
So you buy these cats.
Okay.
And you can breed them with other cats.
You could breed them? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, on the blockchain.
All right.
So, but anyway, I got some of these things just so I could, get on the blockchain and kind of see how it goes. I tried to get my kids interested in it then, but it was kind of challenging back then because I say challenging because I can't get it right from my iPhone. You had to go to like an actual desktop.
Okay.
Log in there.
Okay.
Have like a wallet that plugs into these things.
Okay. All right.
So I guess I'm just interested like how to learn about it. Like what do you think regular people should do if they want to get involved in this, or maybe they shouldn't get involved? Okay. I'm curious what Dion says because
me too. Actually,
I don't think I think Bitcoin, gold has some value in itself, right? The raw material you know, and it's precious. Bitcoin's just zeros and ones. It's just
it's all code. Yeah, it's all code.
So it's scarce, but it's only valuable if people want it.
Oh yeah,
But,
yep, that's true. Yeah. Okay.
But so my goal again, just to learn about the blockchain. So what do you think, Dion? What are some ways, or should people learn about this, or how can people watch this technology, or be a part of it?
Okay, so to what Mike was talking about. First, I'm going to talk about something I really like that Mike said. And then my favorite thing, I'm going to disagree with something that Mike said because it's so rare. Like I literally get my financial education from watching your daily updates. I'm not going to really disagree very often with where I get my information from, but in this one case I do.
Awesome.
So the first thing I really like is Warren Buffett often talks about diversifying. So a lot of people think when they start investing, I want some stocks and some real estate and business and some crypto, and I'm going to diversify because that's how I get wealthy. But I like what Charlie Munger says, Warren's partner for decades. He says, don't diversify. And you can see Warren's face kind of cringe when he says it.
Yeah.
He says, focus on one asset class until you master it. Once you become wealthy, like one rental at a time, and you took 1%, maybe 5%, like Millennial Mike talks about doing, and putting it into crypto to learning that asset. Once you're wealthy, we diversify to protect our wealth. You're not going to become wealthy by diversifying. So that's the first thing I really like. The thing I didn't like that you said was that when you put your 1% into crypto, you bought the major coins.
I did.
And then you called them an asset.
I did.
So most assets don't drop over 40% at least 9 times in the last 9 years. Over 40% drops more than 9 times in 9 years. That was Bitcoin.
Oh yeah.
Last week, the current president of the United States, I'm not going to say name because we'll trigger some people, whether you're on whatever side you're on, came out with an executive order.
Yeah.
Not only does the federal government now have a mandate to study cryptocurrencies and the way to protect the average consumer, but we are so there's going to be more regulation and oversight, which people love when it comes to investing.
Oh yeah.
But we want a central bank digital currency.
It's coming.
So a random new coin can pop up at any time, and the previous coin can drop to 0.
Certainly.
And when it comes to coins like Bitcoin, one of the problems is nobody knows who made it. Everybody says, "Oh, it's
Satoshi
Nakamoto," which is a pseudonym for a person who submitted a 9-page white paper on how a currency like this would work. He didn't make it. He submitted a white paper. So it can't be updated because nobody knows who runs that. The platforms can be updated. How we interact with it can be updated. So choosing a coin as an investment to me is a risk.
Okay.
That's why I still call it a currency, because it can be used and it only has value when it's moving like the current of currency. Storing it, saying I'm going to buy it, is like buying penny stocks.
Yeah.
You're hoping that you hit the lottery with that one that goes up. So investing in the technology, finding ways to invest in companies that are using blockchain is how I think the average person can benefit from this. Things like real estate closings, when they get recorded with the county, are going to start using blockchain technology to do those. So
that's already available, if I'm not mistaken. That's already being done.
Correct. So on a larger scale, we're going to see more and more of that. So the companies that are moving in that direction are getting ahead of the technology. Like
I want to summarize something you said there, because I think it's perfect. Right, when we talk about ordinary or average investors, I want you to say that again. One thing they could do is they could research companies that are looking to use the blockchain in interesting and efficient ways. That's one of your recommendations. And if that's what you said, I agree 1,000,000%.
It is, right. So people say they want to invest in crypto, and whenever we attack the coin, or I attack the coin, saying, well, that coin can be replaced, can't be updated. There's either a limit or there is no limit, so we can produce as many as we want. People defend it by saying, well, but blockchain.
Yeah,
you're right. Invest in companies that are learning to use that technology, because ones that don't will quickly be outdated.
I think that's an excellent idea.
Yeah. Yes, I'm glad you touched on the executive order. So, on the channel earlier, there's discussion about this being an economic war. That's currently going on. So I feel like that's a big part of that. So again, I keep tying virtual reality into these things and all this, because I feel this Web 3.0 and the payment structure. So my I remember looking at these Oculuses. They used to be around $600, like a couple of years ago. And Dion, you broke down kind of the technology costs and that other conversation. We'll have to have Mike link that in this one, or make sure people can find that one. But I got, I was going to get it for my kids, and then I found out that Facebook bought it and they lowered the price. They cut it in half. And then I went, ooh, I don't want that in my house, at least not right now. I'm like, I already have enough wiretaps and other things. Like, am I really going to let Facebook all into my world? Again, this is just, maybe I'm a little bit.
So I want to, did I hear that right? So I don't own any of these things, so forgive me. So Oculus was an independent company. Then they sold to Facebook. You were willing to pay 600, but now you won't pay 300 because Facebook bought it. Is that what you said?
Basically, okay. Why would they shrink the cost? It's like that tells me, what are they after? How has Facebook made all their money? They are a data company.
They're ads. Yeah, of course they're gonna force feed you ads right into they're gonna tap into your brain. They're just gonna.
So my kids brought this over to my house, their Oculus. I tried it the other day. I've done the PlayStation version. It is very satisfying slicing those blocks, and it's super cool, the 3D world. Okay. But what was scary to me on the Oculus, and I even thought this on the PlayStation too, as you're setting up all these cameras to do it, you got to set up all these things, all these places. Okay. And then it's like, man, it's like, but the PlayStation, when they weren't using it, I would unplug things.
Okay. Wow.
And like,
so Dion, you've had several of these, probably every iteration, certainly more than anybody else I know. What are your thoughts on the units? Do you have the Oculus? Were you nervous when Facebook bought it?
No. So,
I don't know.
Sorry. I tried not to talk over people, but there was a couple times I wanted to jump in because my problem is 35 seconds later, 10-second Dion kicks in and I don't remember what I was going to talk about. So the first VRs that came out were the Vive, and you needed a gaming computer. So the Vive was 800, the computer was $2,000. So the barrier to entry was really high. Then the PlayStation came out. So $500 gaming system plus $600 VR set. That price has come down a little, but so you're still over $1,000. The Quest came out, the Oculus, and it was around 600, it's like 5 something. Facebook acquired it because they said, we want to make the metaverse in 5 to 10 years. So to get this in everyone's hands, we're going to basically sell it almost at cost, have a version of this in every house, which listens to you, Rylus, no more than this phone is listening right now, even though it's was closed. It hears everything we're saying, just like.
There's no way to turn this off now.
Yeah.
So but hey, Siri, say something. It's listening.
A quick brown
when it's closed.
Over the lazy dog.
Okay.
Awesome.
So when you're playing, you're right. It can hear you just like your phone. Because technically the idea was it's a phone in a headset. And then they upgraded the technology because we literally had these cardboard boxes you could set on your head and slide your phone in and look at 3D images.
Interesting. So
I understand the putting the black tape over your camera on your laptop and not wanting things listening to you. Smart TVs are listening. So yes, it is one more way of doing that. But if you want this for your kids, of the versions that are out there right now, the Oculus is the best version because it isn't wired. You don't have to be plugged in. You don't have to set up cameras. I could sit here at my desk at work, which I haven't done yet because I'm not that big of a nerd, and play here at my desk, or sit on an airplane and play a downloaded game. With your PlayStation, you've got a camera facing. If you lose vision of the thing, you lose tracking. With the Vive, you had sensors in the room. So the technology has improved, and it was a gamble on Facebook's part. But I know a lot of people who refuse to have a Facebook account. There's something about that social media platform that they just hate. That's not a big enough percentage to impact the sales of the Oculus.
Yeah. So if I were to try to tie all of this together, and again, I know nothing about this. I don't play 3D games. I'm not going to put something on my head. I didn't play video games back when it was an Atari. So I'm generations behind. Does the metaverse, and it probably has several, but I'm going to ask it this way. Is the metaverse likely going to have its own, I'll call it currency, meaning, metaverse bucks or whatever they're going to be called. And thus you have to take fiat currency, convert it to meta bucks, to do transactions, and then to get out of it, the metabucks got to go back to fiat. Is it possible that Facebook or Oculus or Meta or whatever they're calling themselves now creates its own digital coin or something in this environment?
So that happens in almost every online game right now. We talked in my segment about getting the in-game currency, which I would then sell for real money.
Right.
I don't think it's going to be crypto replaces everything that you spend online. It's going to be this blockchain stores your data, your credit card, your bank account. You get to pick the payment method as you're interacting. It could get to the point where it says your crypto wallet.
Okay, that makes sense. I get it. All right. And then Riley, let's just wrap this up with you as the estate attorney. What does all of this blockchain, asset, currency, NFTs, as the attorney, how do you think about estate planning? Is it something you should think about? There's some real money behind this stuff.
Yeah. So when I put my attorney hat on, I treat it like cash, basically, meaning whoever has that password controls it. So you got to be careful where you keep that and have a plan to transfer that. So, there's a lot of risk with these cryptocurrencies. Even some, I've had clients where they've held, American companies, they've let them hold their crypto and then they go bankrupt.
Oh,
and then they've lost all their coins because they gave them that private key.
They gave them the key. Yeah.
So just be really careful how you treat that is from my estate planning perspective. And, I don't know what it is or what it will be, but you just have to have a plan to transfer it.
Yeah. And then Riley, what would you recommend? So I thought Dion's example of investing in companies that are using the blockchain to change the future is very interesting. What would you recommend people do? Do you recommend doing a small allocation, CryptoKitties or whatever it was, and just seeing how it works? How would you want the average person to learn?
I like what you said, just, investing in companies. If you're looking at actually investing, if you want to learn about it, you can take just a small amount and buy some is what I would say, get on an exchange. But, if you're trading it like trading currencies, that's a whole different ball game. That's a whole other speculative thing. So I would say, just look for companies that are investing in the technology that are actually using it. Those are going to be the future companies. I feel like if companies aren't doing that, they're not looking towards an accurate future.
Yeah. And then I guess if I wrap this section up, what I would tell someone to do is most of you shouldn't do anything. It should be zero. But if you just have to play and you are willing to burn it, meaning it could go to absolute zero, I like the idea of dollar cost averaging, right? If you're happen to be in a situation where $50 a week means nothing to you, getting in a habit of every $50 a week buying a coin or a thing could make sense. Again, whether you think of it as an asset or a currency, I don't think it matters. But I think most people have enough to think about where shouldn't be front of mind for most people, I don't think. But if you're going to do it, dollar cost averaging works. Get ready for wild rides. I personally would never put more than 1%. Others say 5%. Okay. But yeah, that's kind of what I think. So we'll go backwards. Dion, last thoughts, and then where can people find you?
You can find me right here on YouTube, Dion Talk Financial Freedom. And since the government is focused on future regulations and oversight, it really does mean that currently cryptocurrency is the wild, wild west of investing. So only invest if you can lose it.
Absolutely. And Riley, final thoughts, and where can they find you?
Final thoughts. I think it's an exciting topic. We'll keep watching it. Part of what I guess why I became so interested in it is I feel like there's a lot of possibilities with it.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're trying to regulate it, it shows that some of these possibilities are actually could be damaging to certain things. So I feel like that's interesting to watch. And you can find me RylisDana.com. You can find a link to all my websites and including this playlist with all these videos.
Absolutely. Kind of my closing thoughts is I think you're right, Rylis. Once the government gets involved and wants to talk about regulations, it actually gives it validation. So I think cryptocurrencies are going to be here. And then your opening comment about your kids. One of the things I learned very early on in investing is if you want to know what the future is, look at what the kids are doing. And it's very clear that this stuff is real and it's coming. It is the wild, wild west, but it's definitely going to be here, I think, going forward. So guys, thank you very much for doing this. This version of the Three Amigos was a lot of fun. Take care.
Adios.